Someone asked me recently, hey, what can I do to become a better trainer? Now, I love this question because I find that most of the time when a trainer has mastered their content, they stop developing their competency as a trainer. We mistakenly define the quality of our training by the familiarity with the content. But familiarity with the content doesn't necessarily mean you're a great trainer. The past 8 years, I've spent the majority of my time training trainers. And one of the principles I share with them on a consistent basis is this. If you want to be a great trainer, you have to be a great student of training. In fact, if you want to be great at anything, you need to be a great student of that thing. So today, I want to share with you 3 disciplines that you can practice that will help you continually get better and grow into a great trainer. Discipline number 1 is learn something new about the topic before you teach it. I never want to go into a training session stale. Several years ago, I was doing a full day, 8-hour session on leadership development. This is a topic I've taught hundreds of times and feel like I'm very, very proficient in it. And so I taught all day long. At the end of the training, I got my car and I was driving home and it hit me. Mac, you didn't say one thing today that you had never said before. And that bothered me because it was an indicator that I was no longer growing in my knowledge and awareness of this topic of leadership development. So here's what I did. I said, okay, I'm going to reset myself. Right now, I'm at this level of knowledge, a 401 level of knowledge. I'm going to take that. I'm going to begin to redefine 401 level as 101 level. I'm no longer at a 401 level, I'm at a 101 level. And that reset in my mind challenged me. And all of a sudden, I began to study harder around the topic of leadership development. I began to read books outside the normal books that I would read. I began to talk to people that I normally hadn't talked to. And I began to learn leadership development at a whole new level. And here's the thing, guys, whatever your topic is you're teaching, learn something new and fresh about that topic before you go into the session and teach it, regardless of your level of expertise. Here's what I've discovered. It's often the freshest thing that I'm learning that has the deepest impact on those that I'm training. Discipline number 2 is always teach from a place of curiosity. When you do that, you're constantly asking questions that are drawing out of the students what they already know. Here's what I've discovered. Every student in that room knows something that I don't know, and I want to learn from them. I'm not just asking questions that are in my training script just to ask questions. I want to ask questions because I'm curious. I'm curious about what they know, what they've experienced, where they've had success, where they've had failure. And so I want to lean into the session with curiosity and ask the students questions that will draw out of them what they're learning. So a lot of times, if you're in one of my training sessions, you're going to hear me asking questions like, hey, who do you know that does that well? What did you learn from them when they did that? And a lot of times when they answer, I'll go, oh my gosh, I've never thought about that. Or you gotta be kidding me, that's fascinating. And I'll find myself writing down because I'm learning something in the session. Now, when your students see you doing that, it causes them to learn at a whole different level. You see, you gotta engage yourself not just as a trainer, but as a learner. And when you lead from a place of curiosity, the questions you're gonna ask are gonna be at a deep level, because they're questions that are challenging your thinking, not just their thinking. So that by doing this, by leading with curiosity, helps me grow in my knowledge and helps me grow as a trainer. Discipline number 3 is process through each exercise and each question in advance so you can be focused and flexible during the session. There's an old military quote that says, no battle plan survives the first contact with the enemy. Well, this very same thing is true of a training plan. No training plan ever survives first contact with the students. So what I want to do is I want to think through each session, process it through before I teach it. Each exercise, each question that I'm going to be asking, I want to think through what are their responses? What are they going to be thinking? What questions are they going to come up with? I'm going to think through my follow-up questions and so that I can be fully prepared for whatever scenario comes my way. And so by processing this ahead of time, I can be familiar with where this might be going, and I can be prepared for anything, almost anything they throw my way or anything I'm going to face during that training session. So always think through and process through your session before you teach it. All right. So, hey, these are 3 disciplines that I think have helped me become a better trainer. And I would love to hear from you. What are some of the disciplines you practice as a trainer that help you get better in your training efforts? Hey, thanks again for joining me today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you click the like button, share it with your team, and I'll see you in the next video.
Gordon Graham here with today's tip from Lexipol. And today's tip is for everyone in public safety, and it deals with the importance of making every day a training day. Now, I know reality, folks. For some people, including some who might be watching this video clip, training is just another one of those things that you do because you're told to do it. But others just can't seem to get enough training, and they're always looking for the next opportunity. In today's world, the importance of training for public safety personnel cannot be overstated. Hopefully, your department is providing you with solid, realistic, ongoing, verifiable training. If not, you as a professional, you've got to take personal responsibility to continuously improve yourself, your knowledge, and your skills. Seek out solid and realistic training opportunities. This can be formal training courses, articles, videos of important events. Focus your training and time and efforts on the high-risk events that you don't experience very often. In my live lectures, I call these the high-risk, low-frequency events. Particularly, you need to focus on those events that give you no time to think. In a longer program, I call these the core critical tasks. Very risky, done very rarely, with no time to think. Now, here's an easy fix. One very simple and cheap way to do this is by playing the what-if game every day. You can do this by yourself, or you can do it with coworkers. Study your organization's policy and then consider how you would respond to various situations. These might be real-life events being reported in the news or purely hypothetical situations you have imagined. The opportunity here for learning and growth is tremendous. Now, for those of you who are supervisors, you've got to lead your team in these discussions. Shift change or shift briefing might provide the perfect opportunity to do what? To make every day a training day. And that is today's tip from Lexipol. Gordon Graham signing off.